Now, obviously, people can't help what name they were given at birth by their parents, but that doesn't mean the rest of us don't get a chance to laugh at those names, especially when those people end up becoming famous and successful athletes. So today, we're counting down the funniest names in the history of Major League Baseball. Let's get nasty. Number 10, Urban Shocker. If you don't know what a shocker is, I'm not going to explain it here. This is a family channel. If you really feel inclined, check out Urban Dictionary, but I'm warning you, be prepared. He was born Urbain Jacques Chaucour, but he became known as Urban Shocker, and thank goodness for that, because this is hilarious. It turns out that he didn't just have an absolutely awesome name, but he was also a pretty good ball player. He won 187 games in Major League Baseball, including 4 consecutive 20-win seasons as a pitcher for the St. Louis Browns. Oh, and he got drafted into World War I, though he got pulled in right at the end, so he didn't really have to get into the thick of it like others did. Fun fact, he was one of the last legal spitball pitchers. Though the pitch was banned by baseball in 1920, anyone already throwing it could continue, so he just kept on going. I'm sure there's a spitball shocker joke to be made, but I just can't think of it. Number 9, Johnny Dickshot. I can't even start this. As if this guy's name wasn't amazing enough, and it is amazing. You know what his nickname was? Ugly. Yeah, people actually called him Ugly Johnny Dickshot. That can't be real, but it is. He played for the Pittsburgh Pirates, the New York Giants, and the Chicago White Sox over a decently long career, although he bounced around between the majors and the minors. There are many famous stories of Major League players fighting in World War II, but somehow Dickshot seems to have dodged that bullet, quite literally. However, when the Major Leaguers returned after the end of World War II, he was out of a job. He was out of baseball, as there were too many good, non-ugly baseball players available. In retirement, it turns out he operated a tavern called Dickshot's Dugout. Man, would I have liked to have a beer there. Number 8, Antonio Bastardo. Hey, our first modern ball player. Great to see. And the modern names really came out swinging with this one. What an absolute gem. I don't speak Spanish, and I was curious if the name Bastardo means something specific in native Spanish, and so I looked it up, and no, it means exactly what you think it means. Why is that even an eligible last name for people? It just seems unfair. Sadly, not only does this guy show up on this list, but he would also show up on a list of top 10 MLB players suspended 140 games for performance-enhancing drugs in 2018. That'd be quite the video, and unfortunately he's on it. Those are 2 tough lists to find yourself on at the same time, regrettably. He was a serviceable relief pitcher over his career. He played for 4 different teams during that time, but he's been out of Major League Baseball since that suspension, so unfortunately I think we've heard the last of this Bastardo. Number 7, Sugar Cane. Great name, absolutely great name. Obviously his last name is spelled Cain, C-A-I-N, not Kane, C-A-N-E, but objectively, Sugar Cane, what a wonderful name. You know his parents very much did this on purpose, and I, for one, applaud their efforts. So this guy was a pitcher. He played in the majors for a few years in the mid-1930s. Played for the Philadelphia Athletics, the St. Louis Browns, and the Chicago White Sox, so he bounced around a bit. And look, let's be honest with ourselves, he wasn't that great. 4.83 lifetime ERA won't win you many games. That's the raw truth. And he actually led the league in walks as a pitcher in 1935. That's no good. So while he's been forgotten as a ball player, let's instead remember him as a guy with a funny name. That's pretty sweet too. Number 6, Orville Overall. I absolutely love these old-timey sort of names. They're fantastic. Why can't more parents today name their kid Orville? Like, so many crap names floating around today, and it's needless because the name Orville, it's just sitting there. It's out there. It's available. In contrast to Sugar Cane, this guy was actually really good. He was a pitcher with a lifetime ERA of 2.23. That is damn fine. He was also part of the Chicago Cubs dynasty that won back-to-back World Series in 1907 and 1908, so we got ourselves a bona fide champion here. And as if those accomplishments in baseball weren't enough, he went to Berkeley for his college days, not an easy school. He was captain of the football team, and he was named as an All-American in football. I don't even know if baseball was his best sport, for goodness sakes. As a final point of note about our boy here, he also led the National League in strikeouts in 1909. So you could say for that year, overall, I'd say overall was overall. Halfway, silly names are just the best, they really are. I'm definitely doing this for other sports, not negotiable, what a ride. Just to make sure you don't miss those future videos, subscribe to this channel and please throw me a like if you can. And you know you can. You can do it. Please do it. Number 5, Jack Glasscock. Oh my God. So this guy also had a nickname too, and it was Pebbly Jack. What's with all these guys with terrible names getting terrible nicknames too? It seems unfair. Why double up on the guy like that? Curiously, he was the first person from West Virginia to play in Major League Baseball, so that's cool. And he had over 2,000 hits in his career. That is not shabby at all. To put that in perspective, there are like 30 or 40 players in the Baseball Hall of Fame that were offensive players and had less than 2,000 hits. So Jack Glasscock was no joke. Important to note too, he was probably the best fielder in baseball during the 1880s. And during this time, they played without gloves. It was called the barehanded era. The barehanded era? Barehanded? Glasscock? Come on, get it? And after he retired from baseball, he became a carpenter. Glasscock worked his wood for the rest of his life. These jokes, they just write themselves. Number 4, Charlie Furbush. Another tremendous modern name in Major League Baseball. You love to see it. I think it's best that he went by Charlie because there's something about Charles Furbush or Chuck Furbush that just doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't have the same ring to it. This Furbush wasn't in the show for very long, just a few years with the Seattle Mariners and the Detroit Tigers as a pitcher, and regrettably it wasn't much of a performance. He was below 500 win percentage, ERA around 4, so not great, not bad, but hey, I make videos and he played in Major League Baseball, so I can't chirp too hard. If you ever want the finest testament to what a post-athletic career could possibly be, I think you want to think about Charlie Furbush. Per Wikipedia, in January 2022, it was reported that he was selling advertising time for a Seattle radio station, ESPN 710, and it was said by one of the 710 staffers that he was, quote, a great dude, unquote. I expected nothing less from a Furbush. Number 3, Coco Crisp. His real name is actually Covelli Lois Crisp. That was his birth name, but somehow being named like a children's breakfast cereal is actually an improvement over that. The origin story of his nickname is an absolute roller coaster. Crisp was actually originally nicknamed Coco by his sister, who teased him that he looked like one of the characters on the Coco Crispy cereal box. Ouch. Then when he started playing AA baseball, the team had all the players fill out a questionnaire to get to know one another, and the dude listed Coco as his nickname because it's awesome, and his teammates thought the name was funny because it's awesome, so they had it put on the scoreboard during a game. Then he got traded to another team after a week and a half, but the nickname stuck and he's been Coco Crisp ever since. I love these origin stories. Fun fact, he officially changed his name on March 5th, 2013 to Coco. So the guy went all in, and I have a ton of respect for that. All kidding aside, his career stretched for like 15 years. He retired in 2016, and he retired a World Series champion who won it all with Boston in 2007. So excellent career, Count Chocula. Well done. Number 2, Stubby Clapp. What a fantastic name. Where to begin? Actually, this is a question for you. Do you prefer the stubby part or the clap part? Personally, I can't decide. It is all so tasty, so delicious. Now, before you ask, his real name is actually Richard Keith Clapp, so it's not his legal name. He just goes by Stubby. But I can tell you why. He is actually affectionately known as Stubby the Third because both his father and his grandfather were also called Stubby. This means that there are, at minimum, 3 Stubby Clapps that have graced this earth. I am so much better off with this knowledge now, as I'm sure you are too. This guy honestly barely graced Major League Baseball as a player. He had a little more than a cup of coffee in the show in 2001. He hit no home runs in his career because that's a shame. I would love to have seen Stubby Clapp circle the base paths. But he has had a ton of success for his native Canada in international tournaments, and he's also been a very successful coach since retiring. Currently coaches for the St. Louis Cardinals, so this Clapp just won't go away. Number 1, Rusty Kuntz. Russell J. Kuntz was born in 1955, and ever since then, he has been number 1 on just about every list that has to do with human names. This man is the GOAT of names, perhaps not just for baseball players, perhaps not just for athletes, but for people across all of eternity. How can you top this name for real? Now, he didn't do much as a player, hit a lowly .236 lifetime average, just 5 home runs over a roughly 6-year career with 3 teams, so not great. But since he retired, he has found a home coaching, and he's currently with the Kansas City Royals in a front office role. So as much as we giggle at those old-timey names, which we should, we also occupy occupy a world today, right now, where both Stubby Clapp and Rusty Kuntz are employed in Major League Baseball. I will pause for a moment to allow that to sink in. I could try to sum up this man's contributions to both baseball and hilarious names, but I will easily fall short. Saying it better than I ever could, though, was a 2010 Bleacher Report article that said his name was, quote, hands down the best name ever. So many jokes, so little time. And if that doesn't sum it up for you, then I don't know what will. Thank you, Rusty. Thank you. They say that words have meaning, but names have power, and today's video makes me believe it. Honestly, this list could have been hundreds of names long. I had to leave so many good ones off. If there are any that jump out to you that I omitted that deserve mention, please throw them in the comments below. If you do, I'm told some shoeless guy will appear in an Iowa cornfield, so that would be cool.